the context for someone in Nigeria is completely different from the context of someone in Uganda or from someone in the US or in anywhere in Europe or any part of the world, which is true, stated fact. However, we have common aspirations. Every young person wants something better for themselves. Every young person wants to have a better job. Every young person wants to have better life.
My aspiration for Nigeria is something I believe we all share. And in Nigeria where integrity is rewarded, in Nigeria where people can access opportunities, and in Nigeria where youths, we can also grow and be successful without compromising our integrity. I think that is something we all share as good Nigerians.
Every year, on the 12th of August, the world celebrates International Youth Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to recognize the immense contributions of young people while drawing attention to the opportunities and challenges they face. The theme for this year's celebration is Different Context, Common Aspirations. It reminds us that although young people come from different communities, cultures, and backgrounds, they share common dreams: equality education, meaningful employment, dignity, security, and the opportunity to contribute positively to society. Here in Nigeria, one aspiration stands above all others: the desire to build a nation where honesty is rewarded, corruption is rejected, and every young person can succeed through hard work and integrity. This is why today's edition focuses on youth and society, raising a generation of integrity. Also in this edition, Transparency Files brings you highlights of activities from our state offices and special youth segments. But first, let's join Ruth Awodi for anti-corruption stories.
Welcome to this segment on Anti-Corruption Stories. I am Ruth Awodi. The Court of Appeal, Abuja, has refused the application for bail pending appeal filed by Mr. Garba Mohammed Duku, a retired Director of Finance and Administration with the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, AMMC, under the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, who was convicted and sentenced to 24 years imprisonment for the diversion of public funds amounting to approximately 319 million naira. Mr. Duku had approached the Court of Appeal seeking to be admitted to bail pending the determination of his appeal against the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which sentenced him to a total of 24 years imprisonment for corruption and money laundering offenses. In its ruling, the Court of Appeal held that the appellant failed to show any exceptional circumstance to warrant the exercise of the court's discretion in granting bail pending appeal. The court consequently refused the application. Mr. Duku was convicted by the Federal High Court, Abuja, presided over by Honorable Justice James Omotosho, on 6 counts bordering on corruption and money laundering. Although Mr. Duku claimed during trial that the funds were handed over to his superiors, the Federal High Court dismissed the defense for lack of credible evidence and held that the prosecution had proved in its case beyond reasonable doubt. Justice Omotosho subsequently sentenced the convict to 4 years imprisonment on each of the 6 counts, amounting to a total jail term of 24 years. The court also imposed an option of fine equivalent to 5 times the amount involved in each count, totaling approximately 1.6 billion naira. ICPC welcomes the decision of the Court of Appeal refusing bail pending appeal and views it as a reaffirmation of the principle that applications for such relief must be supported by exceptional and compelling circumstances. In another development, the chairman of ICPC, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, SAN, has explained that the Commission's drive to integrate anti-corruption education into Nigeria's legal training system is aimed at producing lawyers who are not only professionally competent, but also deeply committed to integrity, accountability, and the rule of law. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the ICPC Nigerian Law School Zonal Workshop on the integration of anti-corruption education into Nigerian universities and the Nigerian Law School, held in Abuja, Dr. Aliyu said the initiative reflects the Commission's conviction that the fight against corruption cannot be won through enforcement alone, but must be strengthened through preventive measures that instill ethical values in future legal practitioners. According to the ICPC chairman, corruption prevention remains one of the most effective and sustainable strategies for addressing the menace, making value-based legal education an essential component of the country's anti-corruption efforts.
Integrity, transparency and accountability and ethical conduct. Legal education is central to this effort. The legal profession plays a key role in the administration of justice and the protection of the rule of law. Lawyers are custodians of justice and important actors in governance. For this reason, building strong ethical values at the early stage of legal training is essential. It will produce lawyers who are not only competent in their work, but also committed to ethical leadership and national development.
In an interview at the end of the workshop, the former Director General of the Nigerian Law School, Professor Issa Hayatu Chiroma, SAN, disclosed that participants were tasked with reviewing and refining an initial draft curriculum already developed by experts. He added that the harmonized document would subsequently undergo a validation process, including the Council of Legal Education, the Nigerian Law School, deans of faculties of law, the ICPC, and other key stakeholders before being presented for consideration and implementation across legal education institutions in Nigeria. That will be all on this segment. Transparency Files continues with Hawa. Stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah.
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. When they do business. Hey, Timmy. Ade, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's say no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Oga, I agree to pay 200 naira.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Oga.
No, they touch me.
Now 100 naira.
He
agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Stop corruption now.
If you are just tuning in, this is Transparency Files. Young people make up a significant percentage of Nigeria's population. They are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they are also partners in shaping today's society. The values they embrace today will determine the kind of nation Nigeria becomes in the future. On this special edition, as the world commemorates International Youth Day vis-a-vis this year's theme, we focus on a subject that concerns every family, every institution, and every nation. Youth and society raising a generation of integrity. To help us examine the role of young people in building ethical and corruption-free society, we are joined by Raquel Kasham Daniel, who is a youth development expert. Take a listen.
Before the theme was announced, a lot of young people always assume that because their context is different, their aspirations are always also different. But it doesn't necessarily comes out as right, because the context for someone in Nigeria is completely different from the context of someone in Uganda or from someone in the US or in anywhere in Europe or any part of the world, which is true, stated fact. However, we have common aspirations. Every young person wants something better for themselves. Every young person wants to have a better job. Every young person wants to have better life. And you see that in the advent of places like TikTok, places like YouTube. Everyone wants to do something or be a content creator so that they have a better life, better than where they're coming from. And so they have an aspiration for a future. And the aspiration is common. So the context, the theme, the way it comes for every young person in Nigeria or even across the world is to always understand that what you're going through in this part of the world and what other people are going through in other parts of the world might be completely different, but that you share a common aspiration to either first make the world a better place, which is why most of us get involved in service, or to make our lives better. Because a lot of young people, like I mentioned, especially from those in this part of the world where our context is around lack mostly, that's not how we're defined, but we know that that's a fact. Most people are trying to become better. And even in the Western world where there's no much, in quote, there are a lot of opportunities, there's also the aspiration to be better. So the meaning of that to everyone, and what I feel everyone should keep at the back of their mind, is that we might come from different parts of the world and have different contexts, and different things might be happening to us at different times, but we all share a common aspiration, which is first to make our lives better and also to contribute to the world. The values that goes across is not for only Nigerians, or it's not only fixed for those in Africa. Values are universal. And so values like empathy, values like integrity, values like honesty, values like service is universal. And values like transparency is important. And so one that a lot of people don't talk about a lot, which I think I should also bring forward, is values like accountability, especially in Africa. And so, but across the world, if you look at it, you see that even that is something that people are asking of their leaders, accountability. So these are values that I feel like young people should imbibe. And if you look at it, prior to the what we have right now, our forefathers, I won't say I'm not that old, but the older generation, you would see that they held on to those values very strongly. But over time, because of the need to want to make, and if you remember what I said at the beginning when I mentioned the fact that we aspire for a better world, because of that, a lot of people want to cut corners, and so these values begin to deplete. So you will see that people are they are not people of integrity anymore. People are not accountable anymore because they want to make life better. So whilst we are also have a common aspiration, right, which is to make ourselves better, our lives better, and the world better, we should hold on to these values. You have the power to create, and you have the power to contribute. Gone are those days when they say, we have to make room for you. You're already making room for yourselves. You're already creating tables. But some of you come with tables in your backpacks to meetings. And so I would say, remember that your power is in your hand. And now you have to exercise that power. And you have to use it. And you have to constantly contribute. And in terms of, cutting corners, I said that earlier, a lot of young people want to make something out of themselves, look beyond cutting corners and, be a person of integrity, and if you want to contribute from a place of service. So it's not everything that you get paid for. I'm a very big advocate of volunteering, service, and for young people, giving. But I also believe that it's in giving that you go up the ladder. So remember that you can serve your way to the top, but then also exercise the power that you have, because the power is already in your hand. Use it wisely.
Recognizing the importance of young people in the fight against corruption, ICPC continues to promote anti-corruption education and ethical values among young Nigerians to cultivate a culture in which integrity becomes a personal value and a societal expectation. Let's hear from the ICPC Head of Youth Engagement and Mobilization Units.
The youths all over the world are the greatest asset of every nation. In Nigeria, we are privileged to be blessed with this enormous number. 70% of this youth forms the Nigerian population, according to National Population Commission documents. Allowing this enormous population to grow without civic directions simply means failure of the institutions, saddled with the responsibility of mentoring them, be it the family, be it the religious organization, be it the school, and ICPC inclusive. In order to produce a generation of integrity, the ICPC in 2003 came up with the National Values Curriculum Initiative. This initiative have been taught in school from that 2003 till when it is being reviewed right now. It is estimated that over 25 million Nigerian youths have been made to pass through that integrity furnace. Then in order to sustain that initiative, there was need for ICPC to open up integrity clubs in secondary schools and anti-corruption vanguards in tertiary education. And the result reaching us is that members of these clubs have been mentored positively. The civil society organization called Step Up Nigeria have been carrying out interviews on these young minds in various parts of the country, and the results have been enormous. When you look at what is happening in social media today, a lot of young Nigerians feel that having integrity is a waste of time. But I'm here to tell them that there are great opportunities. Where they work, the management of various organizations are watching those with integrity without them knowing. Those recommended for promotion are those that have integrity. So if you don't have integrity, you may rot in an organization. So we always encourage them to keep their integrity because it's going to open doors for them.
Thank you for joining us on this youth segment. Young people continue to name corruption as the biggest challenge they face, and the ability of the youth to actively engage in the fight against corruption cannot be overemphasized. As the world celebrates the 2026 International Youth Day, we went to the streets to get young people's perception of the word corruption and why it is important in raising a generation of integrity. This is what we came back with.
My aspiration for Nigeria is something I believe we all share. And in Nigeria, where integrity is rewarded, in Nigeria, where people can access opportunities, and in Nigeria, where youths, we can also grow and be successful without compromising our integrity. I think that is something we all share as good Nigerians. I think that youth can succeed in Nigeria without corruption, but it's not going to be an easy path, I would say, because building a success on integrity cannot be easy. But there is something you have that other people don't have, which is credibility. And you can boast of what that this thing you achieve it yourself. So credibility is something that will stand out for you. So that is my view on that. But you can succeed as a young Nigerian without involving in corruption.
The theme for this year's International Youth Day is different contexts, common aspirations, if I'm not wrong. And it's a very wonderful theme, because if you think about it, we all come from different walks of life. We come from different countries, we come from different states, even within the country. Some of us are born into affluence, some of us, unfortunately, are born into more severe circumstances. And at the end of the day, our journeys begin from multiple different ways. But the fact is, every youth wants to make a life out of their circumstances. They want to live a good life, a comfortable life. Those of us who are less privileged want to make a name for ourselves. We want to become something, want to have something we can call ours, something we can give unto our children. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, we all wish for the same thing. And it's just so connecting, because it really reminds us that at the end of the day, we're all humans, and no matter where we come from, no matter how we look, no matter who we were born to, we all want a good life for ourselves.
As a young Nigerian youth, we are expected to uphold discipline, honesty, transparency, patriotism, self-tolerance. Embracing all these principles will help foster personal growth.
Especially for Nigeria to be great, irrespective of, like, as a young Nigerian, for it to be great, irrespective of your religion, your economic background, your school, for us to achieve what we want to achieve. Because being young in our present day Nigeria makes you feel like you are doing a lot. So I want that for Nigeria. Being a young person makes things easier for you.
Consistency and integrity. Young people can succeed. Corruption gives quick gains, but integrity builds trust, long-lasting respect. Long-lasting respect. A lot of things. Young people can actually succeed. Okay, let's take a good look at Pella, Tauma, Bring Jota. These people started with their phones, they are content creators, and they are making a whole lot of money. So, yes, young people can actually succeed. without engaging in corruption.
Just before we wrap up, let's bring you reports from our state offices with Khadijat Ibrahim as our guide.
A report from Kogi State reveals that the ICPC has inaugurated the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit of the Federal Polytechnic Offa in Kwara State. The resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, Mr. Akakohol Elijah, emphasized that Act 2 remains one of the Commission's most effective preventive strategies for combating corruption at its roots. Representing the Rector, the Deputy Rector Administration, Dr. Salimanu Rashid Ishaq, commended the ICPC for its anti-corruption efforts and assured the Commission of the Polytechnic's full support for the newly inaugurated Act 2. Similarly, from Rivers State, the ICPC has reconstituted the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit at the University of Port Harcourt, Choba. The resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, Mrs. Ekere Usiere, charged members of the unit to diligently discharge their duties and promote a culture of discipline and accountability in the university. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Development, Professor Angela Frank, commended the ICPC for its partnership with tertiary institutions and pledged the university's support for initiatives that promote good governance, transparency, and institutional integrity. And from Borno State, the ICPC has sensitized 100 staff of the Lake Chad Research Institute, Maiduguri, on anti-corruption, accountability, and work ethics. Speaking during the one-day workshop, the resident Anti-Corruption Commissioner, Mr. Linus Gubi, described the engagement as an opportunity for institutional self-examination and a demonstration of commitment to good governance and national development. The Executive Director of the Institute, Professor Babagana Kabir, commended the ICPC for the initiative and urged staff to uphold integrity and professionalism in the discharge of their duties.
As we celebrate International Youth Day 2026, let us remember that while our backgrounds may differ, our aspirations are remarkably similar. Every young Nigerian desires opportunity, dignity, peace, and a brighter future. Those aspirations can only flourish in a society where integrity, accountability, and justice prevail. Let us raise a generation that rejects corruption, embraces integrity, and leads with character. Happy International Youth Day from all of us at the ICPC. Thank you for watching Transparency Files. Follow us on our social media platforms at ICPC Nigeria, and don't forget to join us again next week as we continue the conversation on building a transparent and corruption-free Nigeria. I am Hawasani Garba saying, bye for now.